remnants of Tropical Storm Danielle, and it's the reason that we're still in Povoa. After about 3 weeks here, we've just had southerlies and now this storm from the south. Pretty horrendous weather, but hopefully we'll clear in the next couple of days and we can start moving south again. Jesus. So this is the remnants of Danielle. Tropical storm coming in from the direction of the Azores. It's bringing these southerly winds. We're looking to the south now, and as you can see, Safira is really being tossed around the place in Povoa. Here's Pedro's boat, a Barbican 30. It's also being tossed around. He has her tied up slightly better. So while we were away over the weekend, the forward port side rubbing rail has completely come away. The rope was led through the fair lead like this, and obviously it was just putting too much pressure. The rubbing rail on this side has been replaced recently, but the rubbing rail on this side is not. So you can see now we're using the actual internal fair lead built into the structure of the boat, so hopefully that will prove a little bit more resilient to these snatch loads. We're nearly at high tide, and every so often you're just getting an enormous spray over the wall like that. I don't know how well that'll come out. It's really spectacular.
Oh God.
Very nice view up here at the top of the trail over Gerês, which is where we're staying, and all the way down to this beautiful river valley.
Take your time. There's a chance I didn't get that.
So we're finally leaving Póvoa de Varzim. There's still a slight southerly component to the wind, but it's more or less dead now. So hopefully we'll be able to make our way south. We're going to the Douro River and we'll anchor in there just off Porto city. Been here over 3 weeks, I think, but yeah, it's been fine. It's been a good place to stay. The weather is finally clearing up and it's quite beautiful. Relatively straightforward exit, and the bar, which had been kicking up the last couple of days, is not kicking up anymore. So yeah, beautiful afternoon. It's 20 to 4 on Thursday the 15th of September, and we're gonna it's about 3 hours south of here to the river, and that'll give us a bit of a head start on getting to Figueira da Foz tomorrow, because that would have been 75 miles from here, whereas from Porto River it's or the Douro, it's only 60, 62, 63. so that'll, you know, make it a more manageable daylight day and not mean we're arriving very late tomorrow. Here we are at anchor in the Douro River, just near Porto, about a 20-minute walk from town centre, just in a kind of a nice suburb along the river. It's a beautiful sunset a couple of minutes ago, we just missed it, but got the anchor down. It's just past high tide, but there's a fair current flowing already. I think with the recent rain, the river is quite flowy. Yeah, tomorrow hopefully we'll make it to Figueira da Foz, but I need to check the weather because it's forecast to be very light, and I don't really fancy, you know, 14 hours of motoring and sort of bouncy seas, and I'm only going about 4 knots, which would be, yeah, quite a long way to motor in those circumstances. So we'll see, we may go to Aveiro. Much wind, but a beautiful day. Here's Sinead studying for day skipper. Look like they're coming over, right? Oh, nice. So we've a bit more engine trouble this morning, or yesterday when coming into port in Peniche. So coming into Peniche, basically we lost the ability to go reverse. When I was coming in, coasting in to come alongside another boat, I went into reverse and it just didn't go in. It would go still into forward, but it wouldn't go into reverse. And what happened was, this is the Morse cable for the throttle lever. And when I went into reverse, this bent, and luckily the boat next door to us, a lovely couple from the Netherlands, had a spare one, which is really fortunate because there's no way we would have picked it up otherwise.
On a Sunday?
On Sunday, absolutely, or even not on a Sunday, to be honest. So yeah, we're going to replace this. I can't get down into the engine bay to show the replacement, but basically it's just a screw in on the throttle side, and then this can curl up, and I'll show you the Morse lever in a minute.
Those are covered. They come up.
Yeah, that's awesome actually. Yeah, they closed them. Sounds like they have wetsuits on, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've arrived into Cascais. 3 long enough days motoring down the coast. Most times we were motoring all morning and then got to sail in the evening, and usually got to turn the engine off for a while, but today was just motor all the way. We did put the sail out towards the end, but it was more just, you know, to give it a little bit of a push. We had the engine on the whole time. Covered, I think, 65 miles, 62 miles and 45 miles over the last 3 days. So coming from Galicia, where you don't really have to sail that much, that's a long 3 days, especially with just motoring almost all day. But the engine held up fine, apart from the problem with the Morse, the gear controller, which seems to be completely resolved, and now the gears are so much freer. When you look, like it used to be quite stiff to move it into, especially moving it into reverse, but it's much easier now, which obviously is brilliant. So yeah, Cascais looks beautiful so far. The marina is quite expensive, but some of the reviews on Navly mentioned, you know, filthy, like toilet blocks with cockroaches in them, and electricity that you needed adapters for, and none of that appears to be valid anymore. The toilet block is really clean, and the electricity plugs in fine with my typical enough 3-pun kind of a thing. So yeah, like it is expensive, but it's a nice marina in a nice place, and for us it's definitely worth it. And being 9 meters, they've like, when I was in checking in, they had to turn away a good few bigger boats, but they have place for us because we're pretty tiny, so they can squeeze us in. So yeah, delighted to be here. And the next 3 days now we just have to provision for the Madiera crossing and do some planning as to what we're going to eat and how we're going to tackle the voyage. But yeah, looking forward to all that. Yesterday, as we were coming into Cascais, I noticed that the Aries didn't seem to be working. Basically, when this is tilted, it should return straight back to the center under the weight. However, that wasn't happening. It was just sort of staying up, and the wind just wasn't blowing it the other direction. So that's obviously a big problem. When I investigated a bit, what was happening was actually when the weight up the top was turned, this whole leg was kicking off. What should happen is that the leg should stay in the middle and the tube should turn. I'll try and demonstrate that now. So the tube should turn internally like that, but it had obviously bound up. So I kind of assumed the worst and thought the tube was bent, but disassembling everything today and putting it back together appears to have resolved the issue, which is wonderful, because I thought I'd have to order a new tube, and that could take obviously a couple of days, a couple of weeks, something like that. And yeah, wouldn't have been ideal, especially when we're in quite an expensive marina. So yeah, all's well that ends well with that. It gives me an opportunity to give the thing a bit of a service while it's out. So just grease all of the turning points and everything. It's the first time I've ever really had to take anything apart with it. It's just worked fine up until now, but it's good to know that it is actually relatively straightforward to disassemble and reassemble. Getting it on and off the boat is an absolute pain in the arse, but apart from that, once it's off, it's relatively easy to service.